You're listening to or watching the QC Step Podcast, a podcast to give you the information and the skills that you need to find a job, keep that job, and become a valuable employee. My name is Corey Finneran, and welcome to the 20th episode of the QC Step Podcast. On this episode, I will continue our discussion on job fairs and career fairs, and we're going to talk about how to end a conversation with a potential employer at a job fair. But before we get to that, let's take a look at this week's job leads. These job leads are typically posted Monday mornings at qcstep.com, but in weeks like this one, where we don't have school on Monday, then they'll be up there on Tuesdays. And if you go the job leads for this week are under the blog post Job Leads, February 19th, 2013. Panera Bread in Moline, they are hiring all positions, and that was up there last week, and all those positions are still listed, and there is a link to the online application on our site. Red Lobster in Davenport, they're hiring host/hostesses, and you can apply online directly on our site. And the McDonald's by the airport in Moline is looking for crew members, and you can click on the online application from our site. Now, that is the McDonald's that has the hiring manager that I spoke with in episode number 7 of the podcast. And if you go back and listen to that, she tells you exactly what she's looking for in an employee, and she talks about what she's looking for in an interview. So if you're going to apply for that position, I would strongly encourage that you go back and listen to that episode. Again, that was episode number 7. And then we have one job lead for our graduates, and that is Jacobson Staffing. And they're looking for warehouse workers, and you can apply in person at 2271 52nd Avenue in Moline. As I mentioned at the beginning of this episode, I've been talking about job fairs and career fairs with you for the last month. In episode number 17, I talked with you about what you should wear to a job fair. In episode number 18, I went over how to start a conversation at a job fair. And on the last episode, that's episode number 19, I gave you tips on how to sell yourself at a job fair with a potential employer. I've been going over this stuff to help prepare you for the 2013 QC Career Fair for People with Disabilities, and this is on March 4th at the iWireless Center. And we were also just informed of the Blackhawk College Job Fair, and this is on Wednesday, March 27th. The Blackhawk College Job Fair has a lot of employers, and a lot of them are hiring for summer positions, so I would encourage you to attend both of these job fairs if you're looking for employment. Now, in this episode, I'm going to talk with you about how to end a conversation with a potential employer at a job fair. Ending a conversation with a potential employer can be a difficult thing, and I hope that my tips can help in this episode can help you with that. Number 1, make sure that you have described your work experience and qualifications. Again, if you want tips on how to do that, you can go back and listen to episode number 19. Number 2, make sure that all of your questions have been answered. If the employer has a job opening, does it fit with your school schedule? If you're interested in the position, do you know what the next step is? Do you need to fill out a paper application provided to you at the job fair? Do you need to fill out an application online? And when you do apply, what's the best way to follow up? Did you get one of the employer's business cards? You want to get a business card and or their name of the person that you spoke with. That way, when you follow up, you can speak with the right person, and they already have an idea of who you are. Number 3, if you feel that you've sold your work experiences and you've gotten all the information that you need from the employer and you've gotten their business card and their name, it's time for you to end the discussion with them. Offer your hand for a handshake, use their name, and thank them for their time. Be sure that you maintain eye contact and you smile. So you could say something like this: "Thank you for talking with me about your business, John. I will be applying for this position, and thank you for your time." As you step away from the booth, make sure that you put the application, if they gave you one, and their business card in your folder or your binder, whatever you brought with you. Being organized is very important at a job fair because of the number of employers that are there and the number of business cards that you're going to get and maybe applications. You're going to be picking all of these up in a very short period of time. Well, that does it for this week's episode, and you can like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter if you want to get job leads as soon as we get them. And next week will be the last podcast episode before the career fair on March 4th. And what we're going to do is go over all the things that we've already talked about, and then I'll have a few other tips that I want to give you. As I said before, after this little series is done, then you'll see Gary and Carrie and Dawn and Janine back with QCStep.com tips of the week. Thank you for listening and watching, and I will be back next week with another episode of the QC Step Podcast.